All right, people, we are here with yet another BHDL coach interview, and this is a very exciting one that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. We are joined by none other than DaBestNotReally. How is it going, buddy?
Joyce, I have made my return.
Yes, it's been a minute. There might be some coaches that might not honestly remember your run in the BHDL, but to me, you're one of the classics. You know, like you were right there from season one. You were all the way up. Technically, you were also in season four. Unfortunately, though, your Wi-Fi was a bit of an issue. Has your Wi-Fi been fixed, my friend? I've been able to do some Wi-Fi battling.
Yes and no. That's a whole another discussion too that I haven't really mentioned as much, which is also kind of the reason my internet, when I was a kid and stuff like that, and even still now has always been trash. And as of recently, we got it fixed to have it like stronger to reach around the house because my Wi-Fi is unfortunately all the way in the basement of my house, so it's like in the bottom floor, and I'm currently in this call. I am like on the top floor of my house, so
Ah,
the Wi-Fi does not reach very well here for me. So that's why it's like a little bit unfortunate. That's why at least I haven't been like as active, and I just thought like when it came to season 4, I guess for anyone who was wondering why I dropped out and stuff like that, that's the main reason. Not because I didn't want to, but I didn't want to hinder anything during the season because of that. I don't want to take the fun out of that.
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's get started here, my friend. I want to know your backstory. What got you into Pokemon in general, and then how did you find yourself in competitive Pokemon?
Of course. I guess this has to go back all the way to I guess all the way back in elementary school, dude. Like back in the 5th grade, that's like when I first got into Pokemon. When I got my cousin got me a copy of Pokemon Leaf Green. Now at the time I was just like, okay, this is cool. I wasn't really much into Pokemon at the time. I didn't really watch too much of the anime as much. I wasn't really into it like per se as like other people are. I was like, it was fun. I had some friends that played stuff like that, but I wasn't like completely into it. It was fun, well, but I mainly became a fan later on when Generation 4 came around the corner, Diamond and Pearl, and I'll envision this like just a picture outside recess, playground, kids everywhere. Everyone and their mother had a DS. Everyone and their mother had Diamond and Pearl. Everyone had Platinum, and honestly, that site right there should tell you how much of a stan I am for that generation.
That's a beautiful picture. Yeah, to me, the best part about Pokemon like isn't just like you playing. It's when you're able to play with friends and interact with them.
Exactly. And that's for me, that's why I am very much like Generation 4. I absolutely love Diamond and Pearl just because as a kid that's how I made like the majority of my friend group in real life personally. So that's why I'm like a very, very I'd say protective, but definitely something I guard when it comes to that generation, just because of not only how good it is, but just because of that as well. Plays a big part, so I guess it shows a bit of my bias there.
Oh, there you go. Well, hey, listen, you'll find no shortage of Gen 4 fans. I mean, I think a lot of people really love Gen 4, well, when I was getting into it, people always used to talk about it like that was their big moment too. So you're
Big
playing in Gen
moments, that big
4.
summer.
Had you delved into like battles at any point yet? Had you learned about EVs and IVs? When you start to learn about that?
Fortunately, I didn't get to learn about that kind of stuff till like much later, till like around like the end of Generation 6. So
The
around
end of
Auras, I like when the
Generation
meta
6,
was
really?
always, which, yeah, I didn't play it, but I was introduced it by the same friends who I mentioned earlier when it came to getting into becoming a fan from Generation 4 of like, oh, hey, there's a competitive scene. I was shown Showdown and how like
Oh, okay.
EVs and IVs worked and stuff like that. And I didn't think about it much at the time because like I wasn't really into the competitive scene back then. But that's like when I started to like learn the building blocks there, where I just like understood that, and then I started to go full understanding literally everything about EVs, IVs, natures, literally everything about Pokemon in Generation 7 from Sun and Moon.
Ah, Sun and Moon. You missed the TSS, my friend. That's a tragedy.
I did play it, but that was like more of like the casual. I was more of like a much of a casual back then, back in X and Y or as. But
I
I
see.
absolutely see the blow up when it came to that. I tried to pick my absolute when it came to playing on the casual side personally.
Yeah. Had you we skipped over. Did you play Black and White too? Was that more just like casually as
Oh
well,
yeah,
or?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I completely skipped that. Yeah, from Generation 3, 4. I also played Gen 5. I played pretty much every generation when it comes to the main series. Every single one I've had. Black and White 2, X and Y, or as I at least have a copy of each one.
Okay, nice,
From
nice. Love to see it.
going onwards from there.
Nice. So Gen 7 is when you really start to get into the competitive scene. The last time we would have the Nat decks. Were you watching any PokeTubers
Mhm.
around this time? Who was kind of your inspiration, like, or were you just mainly focused on battling and getting stronger from experience?
A little bit of both, like a bit of casual, but also dipping my toes into like the competitive scene when it came to Sun and Moon. I think the main PokeTuber, like you mentioned, when it comes to watching people in the past, was definitely PokeAimMD. Was like the first one I was like
Absolutely.
watching when it came to during that time when learning about like the basics, how to build teams, and all that kind of jazz. When it came to just literally everything, learning about every single mon, and honestly, big inspiration. Learned so much just because of that. And then later on, well, also during the same time as well, I would also tune into Under Blunder 777,
Yes,
or
I've been
AKA
thinking
Blunder.
like in a lot of these interviews, I've been missing because in my head, Pokemon and Blunder, they're just a wombo combo. You know what I mean? Like if I'm
those,
watching Pokemon,
those,
I'm also watching Blunder on the
those the
side.
duo.
Yep.
That's the duo right there. That I'm just like, okay, this is already perfect. Two different people together, awesome. That honestly, that just made my whole competitive arc start just from those two alone.
Yep, same here. So had you gotten into like any tournaments or done anything on Showdown, done like some laddering and stuff at that point, or was it mainly just like
Uh,
uh smoke on Wi-Fi battles?
Mainly like few Wi-Fi battles, not too many because during the time when like Sun and Moon came around,
Yeah,
I
the
didn't have too
Festival
many
Plaza
people to
was
really
trash,
play with.
man.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing too many myself.
I know, but I know I can't even defend it. It's like how complicated it is just to like get it all set up, and it's not even that too. Like a lot of people who I did used to like play with Pokemon stuff like that didn't really play as often anymore. So a lot of times I just kind
Exactly.
of
I
stuck with
felt I had the same
yeah.
experience.
Where it's just like they kind of would like not grew out of it, but they just weren't really interested at the time. So it's just like, okay, I kind of got into like this generation where now everyone's just kind of like dipping a little bit. So I kind of like I played Wi-Fi here and there, but I mainly played on Showdown when it came to that. I didn't start to get into like tournaments. Well, I really didn't get into any tournament, but that's going further ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we get into all the way through Sun and Moon. I guess I haven't really talked about this as much, but like, did you play Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee? Because
Indeed,
for
I
me, at
did. I'll
least,
be
that game
completely
was
honest.
like
Yeah.
I played it for a little bit, and I tried to have some Wi-Fi battles on there, but it was just like hard.
Yeah, when it came to Wi-Fi battles, I just didn't even bother. I did play on Showdown just because I'll be completely honest. I'll be probably one of the, you'll probably hear me be the one and only person who actually kind of defends that meta game as it is because of how unique and different
Yeah,
it
well,
was compared
it
to
was
the
the
rest.
last time we would have megas, so
Yes, it was, which is very very sad. Well, currently at the time,
currently, yeah.
but yes, I
All
have
right, nice.
played it.
And so then Gen 8 gets announced, and it's announced that there's not going to be all the Pokemon in the game. What is your reaction to that?
At first I was well, not furious, but definitely disappointed because it's just like, okay, we're going from a whole new generation that kind of looks like the 3DS era, but just upscaled and a little better to what's essentially going to be a less like I understand when it comes to like, okay, they want to lower down the decks, maybe make room for like some of the newer mons, make them shine, or maybe some older mons that they can like tweak and stuff like that. That did not always happen. That's like my thought process going into it, and I was cautiously optimistic about it. But at first, I wasn't really happy about it. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
don't think
until like
anybody
yeah,
was really happy. It's just
it
like
wasn't
whether
until
or
like
not, like, really what it
yeah,
comes down to is whether or not you chose to still play the games.
yes, exactly, yeah. it wasn't until like much later on where it's like once I started like playing some of like Generator and like understanding like what pool of mons we had and seeing how it was going to work going forward, stuff like that, going from like 400 mons to now with DLC, like all of it, like 600 Pokemon per game, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that's palatable. I can completely understand it. It still will have its issues. Like the one thing I always think of every generation now is like, okay, this metagame may be okay, and maybe this decks of mons may be fine to play with. Like I'm totally fine with that, but there's always going to strike of what if this Pokemon existed, or what if this Pokemon was in this metagame? How would it change it, or how would it make it better? How would it make it worse?
Yeah, I know.
And
Trust me.
that's something I
I
always
look
think
back
about.
because I used to like have all these Pokemon bred and ready to go back in Sun and Moon and X and Y, and now they're
Yep.
just collecting dust in my box, and it's like I can't even use them.
Okay, I've even mentioned in the server as well a little bit, or maybe I have mentioned a few times, but like I have like during Sun and Moon era, I have filled my entire boxes with like competitive mons and shiny Pokemon, just like all like whether it be battle ready or just all
Yep.
all different formats in that game, which was like it's insanity how like much time I spent with that, and seeing going forward when it comes to like how the Pokemon's work when transferring them, it's just it's tough. It's tough.
Yep. So were you getting into as many Wi-Fi battles in Gen 8, or were you still sticking to Showdown? Because also the 20-minute timer was another big issue as well.
For Generation 8, I did not even try doing Wi-Fi on that. I'll be
You didn't even
completely honest.
try.
I didn't even try. I'm just like 20 minutes.
You're like, bro,
That
this
is like
20-minute timer, this is
no
not for me,
time.
bro.
You go from an hour to 20 minutes. That's like absolutely nothing
Yeah, it
compared
is.
to what we had in the past. So it's just like I just mainly stuck on Showdown. I'm like, okay, if this is how the timer is going to be from now on, I think I'm just going to stick on to Showdown and just play the main game casually.
Yep, that's fair.
Which, honestly, while it wasn't much of a great thing going forward, stuff like that, it definitely opened up like my inevitable love for this generation. Funny enough, you're probably gonna be the only. Probably gonna be the only person who's ever probably gonna say that Generation 8 is probably one of my favorite generations I've ever played competitively, and the reason why that is because of my how well I became, just because of how I learned from previous generations. In this case, Generation 7, where I first learned.
I see. So you're saying you had a big improvement in Gen 8.
Yes. Like Generation 7, I feel like as a kid, if I like actually focused on that and actually like participated more, or didn't have like other, IRL stuff to do and stuff like that, if I had a main focus on like OU, or maybe even like try to participate in tournaments, I definitely feel like I could have done much better than how I did back in the day. Like just to give an example, like back in OU, I used to like in Generation 7, I used to make like meme teams. Like there was one time I made like a full Ultra Beast team that got me to like 1700s. I made like a full mono blue team that just had all Pokemon that were the color blue.
Hey, we love
Like
some
dragon
meme
type
teams.
mons,
We
and then
love
and
some
I'm just
theme
like
teams
casually
around
getting up
here.
to like high ranks, and I'm just like, I'm not even trying. What's happening?
Well, honestly, I mean that kind of is almost like a form of like resistance training, you know what I mean? Because you're trying to make these Pokemon work and trying to find your win cons in those battles and use those types of Pokemon. I mean, that definitely helps you.
Exactly.
Because
And
that's
it's
what I
like,
would have to try to do in my Wi-Fi battles a lot of times, trying to use some underused threats in a tier that they shouldn't be in.
exactly, unconventional mons, and just trying to figure out how to go from that. Which honestly, that also kind of like drove my creativity going forward, because it's just like using standard mons is fine. Like I don't mind using standard mons unless they're fun. Like I'll gladly say, like when I go back to Generation 7, it's just like, yes, I can't wait to play with Ash Greninja,
Ash
Mega
Greninja.
Mawile, and my Heatran. Give me
Yes.
the mons. I'll use them. I could not care. Give me my Kartana. Let me
Oh, my
use this
beautiful
broken
Cortana.
mon.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
And sweep teams, like stuff like that. That I don't mind. But it wasn't until like later on to like Generation 8 and even to Generation 9 where I wanted to like not exactly take it to the next level, but wanted to try to set a goal for myself to like start using more creative mons that I liked.
Yes.
That kind of sparked when it came to Generation 8 going forward.
Yeah. I agree because at a certain point, I mean, well, you can only do so many battles with like the standard Pokemon before it's like, okay, let me try using some other Pokemon. You know what I mean?
Exactly. The other thing too is just like sometimes it's well in some generations it's easier, sometimes it's not. Like back in Generation 7, it was I'll admit it's actually harder to use creative mons back like lower tier creative mons and have them succeed without getting blown back by all the power creep. But
Yeah,
in
the Ultra
Generation
Beasts and the
8,
Megas,
yeah,
and
it's
also
just
Z
so much.
moves.
But what got me to love Generation 8 was another reason because of that actually is because of how many things work together of different teams that could just flat out you could just slap on together and stuff like that. Even some trash mods. Like I've used some absolute trash, gotten some significant wins in Generation 8 just because of like how well you could put teams together and how easy it is to like make a team.
Yeah. You know, maybe that's why it was so easy for me to a lot of times just make 5-minute teams for Wi-Fi battles because that's usually what
Yes.
I had like over
Yes, dude.
200, but I was doing it on Wi-Fi. I had like over
But I know
200
that's what kind of
videos
kills it was because of the
of
20
like
minute timer because it's just like
yeah. Oh, I know. But you see, the thing was, I just made my team super hyper offensive, and I was a lot of times I was playing randos before I joined the Battle Hub server. So usually I was able to get the battles done. I mean, it was
that's
only
fair.
like a couple of them where maybe I was up against like a really strong opponent and we were doing a lot of switching and thinking that I didn't finish the
Yeah.
battle. But for the most part, usually I was able to get it done.
Yeah.
Hardly enough.
And that goes on to like the other thing of like the whole other topic of with the timer, where it's like it kind of forces you to play in a certain way, which
That is a good point.
don't get me, which is like okay if it's like if you like that type of team style, that's fine, but not everyone's gonna like using hyper offense or like playing
Yes,
HO every game. Which I'll be
for
completely
sure.
honest, I hate HO, I hate fighting it, and I hate using it.
Yep.
Just because it's just not my personal playstyle. So it's like that kind of thing just doesn't personally benefit me, but for others, it would.
Yep, I for sure get it. Okay, so we get through Gen 8. You're in your training arc on Showdown. Did you Gen 4 was where you had your big moment. I'm assuming you enjoyed BDSP then.
Oh, I have things to say about those games.
Oh yeah, are you with me then where you hated it?
Oh, it's a love-hate relationship with this game, dude. So many things I could say that I'm like trying to figure out my words as I'm trying to say this, but it's like you
Does it
take
have
such
something to
like
do with the TMs?
not just the TMs, literally everything about the game as it is. It's like first it's like all like it's like you look back and like think about how remakes were first done, like that whole conversation with like Fire Red Leaf Green, Heart Gold Soul Silver, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
In my opinion, I think
That like
Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire is one of like the greatest Pokemon games ever created. That's just me.
I don't blame you. I don't. That's completely valid, though. I get it. I completely get it.
I mean, that
It's
was
just
one
I
of the
thought you
last
would.
games
Yeah.
that had the national decks. We
Yep.
had so many megas, the legendaries, everything.
Yes. Such an expansive decks too, and stuff like that. So it's like to go from all that to just Diamond and Pearl HD, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
And I don't know
like,
what it is. I'm as I'm replaying it right now to be able to get some of these Pokemon for Shiny Manphy. It is so hard to like walk around and use the bike. Like it's so clunky. I don't know what it is.
legit. Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
much I could say about it, like how much I don't like about it. Like this game, honestly, like not exactly say tortured me, but definitely like brought me
It
down just
definitely
because of
tortured
like
me. Trying to. Did
just
you
because
attempt
yeah.
to make in-game teams for Wi-Fi on this game?
I did try to make one team, and that had to deal with, and that just because of like I wanted to, just because of because there was one time I actually just because since I was so bored with the generation how it was, I was just like, you know, let me see how OU is in like EDSP and stuff like that.
Oh,
Funny
yeah.
enough, I actually did well on that on on the ladder itself, as well as one time I participated in my first ever tournament for BDSP. Funny enough.
Okay. There we go.
So yeah, I did make at least one competitive team. Well, actually, no, two competitive in-game teams that I haven't really touched just because, well, I don't really play that tier anymore.
Yeah. So, had you joined the Battle Hub server at this point? I know we had a lot of people join during BDSP, or did you join in Scarlet and Violet?
I joined the Battle Hug Draft League during Scarlet and Violet. Main reason was just because of after Sword and Shield not having the timer and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, okay, you know what? I want to actually play on my Switch. I actually want to try to like play on cartridge because it's been like so long since I've actually done something like that. So I just kind of was like, I'm more of a lurker. I don't really like talk too much when it comes to like chat and stuff like that. But I watch to see what goes on, stuff like that. But what got me into like the you said the draft league, right? You said.
Well, no, just the Battle Hub server because I feel like you had to have been there
that's
first.
mainly how. Okay, then that's just how I mainly got on there. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
That's mainly why I jumped into there, just because of like that specifically of like possible of like, the timer getting better and all that stuff, and I just wanted to play on my Switch. I'll be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we all love the animations on the Switch over Showdown, of course. So, like, did you join like early Scarlet and Violet, and you were like having a good amount of Wi-Fi battles? I'm assuming for the draft league.
A little later. I didn't really play too many Wi-Fi battles, just because I did the majority of my competitive
Showdown.
scene for Generation 9. Like, I'll be completely honest. I mainly did like the majority of my competitive battling on Showdown for like when I was trying to climb up the ladder and stuff like that, try to see how far I would get. Post home, I was able to get like, funny enough, top 50 on the ladder.
You got top
like
50 on the ladder. That's very impressive.
Exactly number 50, and that is my highest peak I've ever done. Since then.
I really need to try to ladder
home.
up on this ladder because I'm gonna be honest. I usually haven't really gotten past like 17 or 1800. Like I feel like I need to try to really grind up this ladder at some point.
It's not easy, dude, and especially with Terra and stuff like that. That just adds a whole nother level, a whole nother skill set that I'll be completely honest, I have feelings that I won't get into.
That's fair. That's fair. So, BHDL, the draft league. Had you participated in any other draft league before?
I actually haven't. BHDL was actually the first one I've ever actually participated in. Just because since I've seen so many.
You're watching Pokemon, you probably had seen him compete in other draft leagues, right?
Yeah, that's actually what I was just about to say too. And it's like I've seen all like the Poketubers back in the day with like all the other leagues they've been in. So I was just like, you know what? I wonder how this actually could be if I actually participated. And don't get me wrong, I've had opportunity to join like stuff on like draft leagues when it comes to Showdown. Even my friends are like, oh, why don't you do this? I'm like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
It really is. Just
like,
because
cartridge.
Like a big part of the draft league is like the social aspect, in my opinion, which is what the BHDL really gets into.
Exactly, and that's why I just wanted to feel something, just be a part of it. It's like, hey, if I enjoy this and continue going forward with it, awesome. I'll keep going with it. And if not, at least I could say I tried. And right now I could say I've tried, and I absolutely loved it.
There we go. So you get into BHDL. I'm assuming you probably just saw the invite and then joined up. Tell me about your team name, the Piercing Poniards. Where did you come up with that? Is Poniard Bishop
honestly,
one of your favorite mons?
Not exactly, but I'll be completely honest. It kind of goes back to like at the time where it was like catching me at the time when I was like trying to learn how to draw, and I was like at the time I was learning how to draw. I'm trying to draw Poniard, the Poniard line, King Gambit, Bisharp,
Really?
Stuff like that, because it's a whole other skill set I wanted to try to like. Coming from a personal note, wanted to try to learn to get better with drawing, and when I saw about like needing a logo and stuff like that, I was like, you know what? Okay, I just figured out how to draw Poniard and stuff like that. Went on, I tried to make it cool on like whatever I had, whatever like supplies I had on hand, and just go from there to make my logo.
Okay, there you go. So you got the logo.
As simple as that.
Very nice. Hey, sometimes it really is just as simple as that. So what's crazy though is, and maybe a lot of people forget about this, but you were actually my first opponent. Like we were our first opponents.
Do you remember that to this day?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I was rewatching it right before this. That was a absolutely crazy game. I really thought I was about to get swept by that Calm Mind Terra Poison Florges.
And then I just remembered at the very end when it came to your Bolt, and I'm just like, oh no, wait, he's setting up. And then I remembered how Phantom Force worked. I'm like, why did I click Wish? Why did I click?
I was thinking like
why did I click Wish? I'm like, what am I?
I was like, okay, I can probably maybe take him out with Dragon Darts, but then I'm gonna get outsped afterwards by the Scarf Regidrago. If I go for Dragon Dance and for some reason they choke, then I can win. I was like, you know what? Let me go for it, and it just happened to work out. And that game, I felt really scummy afterwards. I was like, man, I feel like I did not deserve that win after that at all. And then
that was a
didn't feel
throw
like
on my part, dude. That's something I think about all the time. I'm like, what? I can do that.
I've had plenty of those myself. Trust me, I've had a lot of those moments myself. Sometimes just thinking,
we've all been in that situation. That's why I just found it funny when just like that just happened, where it's like it came so close and that just happened. I'm like, okay, that's just funny.
Yep. So remind me again, because I'm trying to remember what exactly your team was, because unfortunately, I don't know if you've seen the original Battle Hub Season 1 doc. That thing is broken.
I remember a few.
I know that there was, you had
I can kind of remember the top of my head.
Zoroark, Hisui.
I had Regidrago, Hisui, and Zoroark. I don't remember my full team, but I remember like a good chunk of them because I did use a few of them. Like I grabbed back in Season 2. I had a Paldean Tauros Aqua. I remember I had that. Did I have a? I remember I had a Bronzong because I remember I just did not bring Natmon at all.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember. Let me think. Maybe I have it somewhere in my.
You had a Donphan. You had a Dragonite too.
Oh yeah, Donphan I did have. I did remember. I think I had Meowscarada. I did have.
Meowscarada, yes.
That's what I remember. It was like early in the picks and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember what I had because, good God, I am very forgetful.
Apparently at one point you had a Grafaiai as well.
Oh yeah, I did for like I think what I originally wanted was not only for like a grounded poison type, but I thought it was like very underrated with like Prankster. It also had it also had access to like Super Fang, so I was just like, this thing is not going to do any damage. Let me just use this.
Right.
One big thing I wanted Dragonite, I think I also had as well.
Dragonite,
that was another one.
I saw that as well.
That was also something I had.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, I do not use Dragonite how other people use Dragonite, and that is defensive, not offensive.
Yes. We have seen a couple of defensive Dragonites, but yeah, mostly offensive. So yeah, I was wanting to get into as well. Of course, Gen 9, the gimmick is terrestrialization. What were your thoughts on terrestrialization and free and open Terra in Season 1?
Honestly, I was already had a mixed bag when it came to Terra in like OU as a whole, because personally I didn't like exactly how really open it was for literally every single mon to Terra into whatever you wanted. And
it's crazy to think it almost got banned at one point, remember?
Yeah, and honestly I wouldn't blame him. I'm very mixed when it comes to Terra. It's just like some days I like it, some days I don't. Most days I don't, but it's like I wanted like a break from that field, and when seeing how terrestrialization was dealt in draft, I kind of wanted to see how it would be here. And when I heard when it came to BHDL being open Terra, so it's like, hey, you're not restricted to like 3 types, but you can have any type you want. I'm like, okay, you know what? And it's restricted to like a few mons depending on who you pick. I could get behind that.
Okay, there we go.
It's honestly just as simple as that. I just wanted to break from how standard Smogon OU was.
Yep. Yeah, I think we all wanted to break from that as well. Yep, so we get through Season 1. Unfortunately, your run... I tell you what, though. I'll give you this. You had... All of your games were super duper close, and I think you can... I don't know exactly what your differential was, but I know for your record, your differential was very good. Like, pretty much all your games
each game
were like
came very, very close each time. Like, I always... Like, no matter what happened with each game, stuff like that, even, like... And I'll be completely honest, and I'm just going to say this. The first thing I just went in... I didn't prep for much, stuff like that. I didn't go crazy with, like, mock, stuff like that. I just wanted to, like, see what I could do of my own and go from there. And each game was, like, I always went down fighting every single time. Absolutely. I always tried to make it close as I could. Yeah,
and we saw that for sure. I remember... us thinking that you might pop off, and in Season 2 you really did pop off. You ended up being the 3rd overall in the standings. Of course we were all tied, remember, but you had the 3rd highest differential.
Which was insane.
Yes, so I'm looking at your team here. pretty bulky. You've got the Gliscor and the Fortress. You got a lot of care. You've got Regidrago, Florges Terra again. I believe you also had Tauros Aqua in season 1.
I tried to have like more of like a mulligan, like I had like a bit of a mulligan moment. I'm just like, okay, no, first season that was a mulligan. Season 2, now I'm gonna start trying.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna start trying even harder, and I just decided to take like the majority of what I had in season 1 and apply it to season 2. Of course, with some different mons, like for example with Gliscor, Sneasler, etc.
Yeah. Very solid team, I will say. Lots of good mix of offensive and defensive Pokemon. And so you make it to the playoffs. I'm looking at the bracket here. Looks like you went up against Icy Dude in the quarterfinals, and you actually got to make it to the semis. So huge improvement, especially considering where you were in season 1. So tell me about how that felt.
Honestly, it felt really good, real talk. It's just like, from going down from being like down to the bottom from the first season, where it's just like learning the ropes, learning like the basics when it comes to draft, stuff like that, to getting all the way to playoffs is insane to me. I'm like, that's like a massive improvement that I'm just like, and stuff like that. For me, the main thing when it comes to draft, no matter like how good or poorly I do, the more I just like improve when it comes to battling, building, stuff like that, which is something I very much enjoy.
Yes, and you got to face up against Brandon. And if I remember that semi game versus y'all, like that was a very close game. Was there some hacks involved? I can't remember what was going on. I just know that it was a really
not really too much hacks. Mainly his team was just very well prepped for everything I pretty much brought and stuff like that. Even like hacks hacks didn't really matter all that much. But looking back at the battle and stuff like that, like originally, like the reason why like I drafted Tauros Aqua was mainly just to deal with specifically knowing that Urshifu was was able to be drafted, just both of them. So I was just like, okay, I want to have this. And since he had, I'm pretty sure he had Rapid Strike.
Yes, he did.
Urshifu, if I remember. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, this is just going to be a full-on counter to this. I switch it on, and he goes for SD immediately. I'm just like, okay, this is not good. And then he had Trailblaze, and I'm like, oh, this is even worse. My counter's not a counter anymore.
Yep, absolutely. Because I remember that somebody had tried to do the same thing versus me, and I accidentally fell for it. And I went for Surging Strikes into their Tauros, and then they got the Anger Point boost.
That's what I was thinking as well too, because I completely like forgot about that in my mind, because I brought Intimidate just for that, but that made a lot more sense when it comes to bringing Anger Point just for getting the +6 immediately against, critting with Urshifu and stuff like that. I get that.
Yep. But hey, you did very well against the team that had Terra Bisharp, which was not Terra, Terra Cresselia. Oh wait, no, it was Terra Bisharp, wasn't it? That's crazy.
It was. I think he did, and I think he also had Terra Cressa as well. That was the kill leader. That mon was. I don't want to say stupid, but definitely was really strong.
And Terra Bisharp, probably some of the best Terra options. And Terra Bisharp was only 8 points. That is insane. Oh wait, that was before we had the Terra tax, but still 8 points considering.
Yeah.
Season 2, I think the draft board was kind of crazy, so I think that might have been why.
Considering I was able to draft Regidrago twice with Terra, dude. Well, actually, no. The first one I was able to Terra, the second one not. Yep. Let me take that back.
Yep.
Considering that's completely,
You did very well in Season 2. We get into Season 3, and my goodness, your team for Season 3 was super sweet. You had Roaring Moon. You had Necrozma, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, was the kill leader for Season 3, and you got to be the first one to really have the kill leader be the logo. So it was kind of memorialized in that moment.
It started to really start the trend from there and stuff like that. It's like we went from what was it called, Sandy Shocks to Bisharp, and then as soon as Necrozma came around, it's like, okay, let's make this a thing.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? It's so far back that I forget that Sandy Shocks was also the logo at one point. Yeah, because I was just thinking there was a break. There was a break where Bisharp was supposed to be. So Bisharp is really like the lone, the only kill leader that didn't really get to be represented. Sandy Shocks.
Well, it's just because it's like it was like each kill leader got like even stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like Shandy Shock's got a good amount of kills. Bisharp got a ton of kills. And then I show up with Necrozma with a ton of kills.
25. My goodness. My goodness.
I drafted Necrozma to show you guys how much I absolutely know that mon. And I can tell you right now.
Had you used that mon a lot on Showdown?
Oh, abso-freaking-lutely.
Oh my, yeah. Well, I can tell by the way, the amount of work you put in with it.
Yeah, I used him back in Generation 8. I was with him a little bit in Gen 7, not too much, just because of how Power Creep was back in that generation. And then I tried to make him work in Gen 9. He's still not the greatest, but I still use him regardless, just because I think he's fun to use.
Yep. And then you also had, I mean, like Terra Jolteon, super fast. You had Lando T, which is crazy that like how much it's fallen off. Because I remember whenever draft first started, like Lando was always one of the first Pokemon to get drafted, but now it doesn't have knockoff. It doesn't have
any of its utility moves.
Rock polish.
It's literally got none of its utility moves at all to work with.
It's a
no defog, no knockoff. It's like it's
no
got,
hidden power.
Like what does it do? Earthquakes and U-turns. No toxic either. It's like
exactly.
I set up rocks just to U-turn out. It's like okay, cool.
Yep, that's about it.
nice flying type that's gonna just wall it. Even with Stone Edge, it's like it's still strong, but it's like at the same time it still switches in.
Yep, and you drafted Zoroark for the third time, so at this point you really seem to have taken a liking to Zoroark.
Originally, that wasn't going to be the case at first when it came to like Zoroark being like the main mon I like mainly been using at times, stuff like that. Originally, I was just gonna, because like each season that I was like playing, I was just like, okay, I just want to draft a mon that I actually like to use, stuff like that. That I just want to get out of use, stuff like that. So in this case, for season 1, I drafted Regidrago, a mon that I used back in Generation 8 a lot, and then when knowing that I was able to use Hisui and Zoroark just because since it came out, I was just like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to do some shenanigans with this mon and do the best we can and pray.
There you go. And, oh, you know what? I completely forgot about this. I'm looking at this Terra Poliwrath, and I'm like, what did that do? I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I remember now. That actually it popped off versus, Scorpion with the rain dance set, right? Or like it somehow got faster in the sun or in the rain.
Yep, because of Swift and stuff like that. Originally, when I was trying to prep for Scorpion's team, I'm just gonna say this straight up, it was very, very tough. I remember, because I think I mucked with you, I believe, when it came to that.
Yes, I remember now. Oh man, this is really bringing back
and I was
because I was just thinking,
terrified of his team, just because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do against him and stuff like that. When it came to like building, I even went through different builds, stuff like that, and I think it mainly came down, funny enough, to Poliwrath to like really like save the day, and you noticed that too.
Yeah, I just remember that.
It was really funny.
If that Poliwrath ever got set up, it was super freaking scary. And I will say, Scorpion was at a bit of a disadvantage, I know, because I know he was sick. But man, that Poliwrath.
Which that I did feel bad, but I will definitely say this, and I say this every single time, even when I do fight him. He played a dang good game, even still. Like, I was still, like, on the edge of my seat, still trying my hardest to, like, stay calm, stay collected. Try not to throw any turns and stuff like that, because there was plenty of turns where it's like, he was making moves that I was absolutely going to probably make the wrong move with the plays he was making. So, he played an absolutely phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say this and stuff like that too, yeah. I was also going to say too, one of the main things I was also worried about, well, prepping for his team specifically, was Torterra, which I'm just going to say this, and Scorpion, if you're hearing this, the main mon I was mainly scared of, and especially one of the counters that you could have used against Poliwrath, was Terra Water Defensive Torterra. That was something I was very scared that you would actually bring against me. Or that mon specifically.
That was
just because specifically he mentioned that he was that Poliwrath was like something that could definitely mess his team up. And looking back at the video, I think we know the answer to that.
Yep. Hey, if you guys haven't watched that battle, definitely go back and check it out on Scorpion's channel. So we get all the way through. You make it to the playoffs once again. Let me see. Where did you end up in the standings this season? You were number 2. Oh my goodness. You were 7-2 with a 21 record or 21 differential. Very impressive, sir. Right up there with Beanard and Raymond and Scorp all together.
Yep.
Very impressive.
Look, I have
run through.
Necrozma. I have Necrozma to thank for that. That mon.
Great point. Yeah.
As soon as I got one was, he just went from sweep after sweep after sweep, and I'm just like, oh boy, okay, calm down.
Yeah,
Looking
not
a little
gonna
too
lie.
good now here.
I think a lot of us were kind of expecting you to possibly go on to win the whole thing. Because
Yeah.
not a lot of people forget this. Your opponent in the quarterfinals was Anna, who you had just played in week 9 and won 5-0. So the expectation was for you to kind of go on to win that game. But Anna was able to just she must have really been going back over that game and analyzing.
No, she was prepping hard for that after that.
She prepped really hard.
That's why,
for that game.
Even still, and even I'll be honest too, where it's like okay, I'm gonna face her again. I have no I'll be honest, I was kind of thrown off of what to even bring, because it's like, okay, do I bring the same stuff? Do I use something different? Do I bring something completely out of the ballpark?
Yeah, that's how I felt facing Brandon this time around myself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that was a tough match. But she played very, very well, prepped well, very, very well. I think the only choke that I really had, which really didn't matter in our battle and stuff like that, was because I also had a Terra Altaria, and funny enough, I think she had a Meloetta with Ice Punch, and I just forgot the Terra.
Oh wow!
And like an idiot, but it wouldn't have mattered because she had a lot more mons up on me anyway. So she absolutely deserved the win there. Real talk.
Yeah, for sure. She did go on to win the whole thing, of course. You know, she's a very, very strong battler, so
Champion.
For sure. But the fact that you, had beaten her the first time, like you, that's kind of like the sad, tragic thing right here, is that you were kind of on this like continual incline. Like it really seemed like you would have been like the next heir to the BHDL throne, but unfortunately. Your Wi-Fi has just kind of kept you out of the competition a little bit.
Yeah, like legit. It's like just like how I mentioned before and stuff like that. It's like it's not that I don't want to participate in this kind of stuff. I just I don't want to take the fun out of it, stuff like that, until I get stuff like really settled in and stuff like that. Like I'll still like if you were to ever challenge me to like anyone were to challenge to like casual Wi-Fi battles, I'll definitely accept when it comes to that. It's just committing to like another draft league, especially with my connections, stuff like that, has just been kind of ass for me.
Yeah, for sure. But for those of the new folks maybe that maybe weren't aware of you in the earlier seasons, you had this incredible tendency to, in addition to usually you would have the standings or like the numbers, but what you would also do that really distinguished you from a lot of the other coaches is, because you weren't really recording at the time, you might have had little snippets of the battle, which was great, but you had these immaculate like essays of like descriptions and like storylines of what was happening in the battle. What kind of inspired you to write those?
Well, before I go into like why I decided to do that, I had to take you back a little further back to like what kind of inspired me a little bit.
Okay, hey,
let me just get this straight up, stuff like that.
That's what we're here for, the lore.
Let me just get this cleared straight out of the way. I am no English major. I am no good when it comes to writing when it comes to like writing books and stuff like that. This is something I generally just did for the fun of it. Just putting that out there. But this goes back all the way to back to Sun and Moon, actually, funny enough. During because like you know how like Smogon usually has like different types of like rooms that you could join, whether it be like the OU room and different. They had like all different types of like rooms and activity groups of like that you could join, whether it be casual, competitive, all different stuff. Some not even relating to Pokemon at times.
Yep.
There was one room where I joined. I think it was the Wi-Fi room, where they were hosting some kind of. They're hosting like a special like event where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna trade you a randomly generated egg that we just had. They just had some like random eggs that they just never really hatched with all different random Pokemon in it and stuff like that. And what they wanted people to do was to write a story about that Pokemon with you on your journey.
Ah, okay.
That's how it first started out. And originally I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. And you would also get rewarded for this too. They also, something I didn't mention, sorry, I'm going all over the place, is that they had back in the day when the GTS was on like the system stuff like that before they changed things up back in Generation 8 and then onward with Pokemon Home. They had a trade shop, so you could like if you had like these trade points that you could get from like participating in different activities or participating in tournaments and stuff like that.
Trust me, I know because I used to be in there myself. Like legit, I was in the trade shop. I legit was having to, because I was reading some of the shinies for like the
so you know of it and stuff like that.
And I had to like take pictures of it the moment the egg hatched as like proof that like this is my Pokemon.
You had to show a screenshot. It's like, okay, this is where I got it. This is all the stats, and in order to trade, just to make sure everything's good, stuff like that. But main point is that they had a trade shop with like battle ready Pokemon, rare shinies, mythical Pokemon, mystery gift mons, and I was just like, okay, this seems cool. And it was like something for like basic story writing. And at the time, I wasn't really that good at like when it comes to like writing stuff like that. I still am not to this day. If anything, I'm more of like a B- student when it comes to that. But I'll get back to more into the story when it's like, okay, they started trading all the people who wanted to participate, random eggs, and I think during this time it was like funny enough. I think it was like October where I got this egg, and funny enough, I even told the person who traded me the egg, I was just like what I hatched from it, and he was like, "Oh, what'd you get?" And you want to know what it was? And it's going to be very ironic.
Is it a shiny Ponyard?
No, it was a Zorua.
Really?
Funny enough, it was a Zorua, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, it could not be more fitting for like Halloween vibes and all that kind of jazz." So I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see your story." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be fun." So what we had to do, not only what we had to do was like write a story about like a Pokemon, what we did on our journey, but they would also give us more points if we trained that Pokemon up, evolving it and doing like all different things with it. Like say for example, getting to level 100, that's a trade point. Get it completely EV trained, that's a trade point. Depending on how many ribbons you have, they'll give you a trade point for each ribbon that you get. So being the Elite Four, doing the Battle Royales, doing the Battle Tree, so doing all that kind of stuff, really like motivating everyone to do all that stuff just to get that. And after that day, I was just like, I had a fully trained Zoroark with all the different stats, traded them just to, guaranteed to show them that it's legit and everything, stuff like that. And then afterwards, get my points and trade mons in the shop. And after that, I was able to get, as a reward, I was able to trade in my points to get my very first Diancie, because I never was able to get it back in X and Y and Auras.
Yes. I'm very much looking forward to getting one myself.
And 2 different mystery gift Arceus, because at the time I really was like, I had like made my first ever team in Gen 7 Ubers, because I was like getting into it at the time. I was like playing just for the fun of it, not too much. I had a team, and it's just like it was lacking something. It was lacking Arceus, and I didn't have a legitimate one. So I was just like, oh, let me get one from the trade shop, and everything was said. I'm like, this is the best day ever. Oh my gosh.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah, man, I should have been investing more into that, because I was doing like some of like the competitions and stuff with like breeding. And, like, I was like using the trade shop to like trade my own, like whatever they were looking for, I would try to get. I didn't realize that I could earn these trade points. I should have been doing that.
Yeah, that's why I like look, because I wanted to at least see to go for and stuff like that. But that's how it first started when it came to the novel writing. The main reason why I stuck with like doing the stories and doing the the different stories that I was doing for each battle that I had was because, well, simply because I just couldn't record. I'll be honest, I didn't want to look like I was like slacking or didn't have anything, stuff like that. So I just wanted to at least offer something that even if people appreciated it or not and stuff like that, it did take me a little longer because I was doing it on the spot. And
we all definitely
do it to the best of my ability.
Because we all wanted to like know what happened in each battle, because there was like a big thing like where we all wanted to like watch all of the BHDL battles and see what happened during that week. So you helped to add that nice bit of context. And whenever I was still doing the reviews in season 2, it helped to be, because I was able to still get some of like your what's it called, the
I
the
was able to get
recordings.
like the
I
clips
clipped a lot of
from
your
the Switch and
recordings and
stuff
used
like that,
that
because that's
to
how I was
edit it.
able to clip my videos and stuff like that. Just because to like at least give some kind of context to certain parts, or at least when I remembered, because I was just like, when something epic happened in the moment, I had to like always remember in my head and like, okay, record this, record that, etc. stuff like that, or just do it to the best of my ability. Just because I didn't really have a capture card and stuff like that to like, I don't really have one to like record and get my battles done, which
Nah,
I'll
it
be
was
honest, one
definitely
day
great.
I do want to. I do want to. I just want to make that clear and stuff like that. I do want to. I'm just want to get that out there. I'm just personally just not in a position
Oh
currently
yeah,
at the
hey,
moment.
feel it. One day you can
Yeah.
join the ranks of Brandon and Pokemaster that have gotten capture cards just to
Mm.
record PHCL battles, basically.
Which, hey, more power to them. I love it. I love to see it. I love watching the battles from everyone. Real talk.
Absolutely. So, what do you think about the impact that the BHDL has had? Maybe not just on you, but on others as well.
Honestly, I gotta say it's very positive, real talk, because one of the things that kind of drew me at first was like, again, when it came to like open terra and stuff like that, it was just very unique compared to like what other drafts were doing at the time with all the different like stuff, what they were trying to do, handle with terra and what mons were able to be drafted. It was just like, it was okay, but like nothing really like stood out to me. But like this, I don't know, to me, I think it felt different in a good way, where it's just like everyone kind of like gathered in together, having a good time. And honestly, that's stuff I like to see, something I don't really see too often when it comes to like other drafts, or like when like with like such positivity, as I
Yeah,
should say, maybe.
absolutely. And what do you? There's an interesting like phenomenon that I've been getting into with a lot of the other coaches. When you were participating a lot in BHDL, had you told any other IRL people about the league? Because at that point, like I mean, especially like season 2 and 3, like you were doing very well, and you were doing good in the playoffs too. So had you like told any friends about it? Had you like oh, I'm in this league. We've been popping off like
Actually, yeah,
I've
I
been
told
writing
some
these
of my
storylines.
my IRL friends who at times they ask me and stuff like that, like, oh, how's Pokemon, how's the competitive scene doing? I'm just like, it's doing okay. I tell them I joined BHDL, I joined this draft league, how it works. I explained it to everyone, stuff like that. To this day, I think one of my friends wants to still like. Actually, funny enough, after when I mentioned this, like, oh, we should make a draft. We should play one. Not exactly Wi-Fi, just because unfortunately they don't all have like the games and stuff like that. So, but
Oh yeah.
just getting them into draft in general, I think that's like one impact that at least when me mentioning getting into playing draft like that, it definitely inspired to be like, one of these days that we want to do our draft ourselves too,
Oh
just for the
yeah.
fun of it.
That's the nice thing about Showdown is it really reduces the barrier to entry, so pretty much anybody uh, can do draft if they want to.
Absolutely. So all I gotta say is that it definitely just like more or less inspires like just like the idea of playing draft more and stuff like that and getting into it. So all good, positive things.
There we go. And where do you see the future of draft in general in competitive Pokemon now that we know about Pokemon Champions? And what are your thoughts on Pokemon Champions?
Honestly, and this might sound like a hot take, I am probably more excited for Pokemon Champions than I am for Legends ZA. I'm just gonna flat
Hey,
out say
me
that right
too,
now.
buddy, because here's the thing. What do we care about when it comes to Pokemon? The battles, and specifically the Wi-Fi
Exactly.
battles. And if there's no Wi-Fi battles to
Yes.
be had, like Legends Arceus, I mean, I played that for a little bit, and it was fun, you know, to like go around and get the Pokemon and like get my team. But then it's like, there's nothing really keeping me there. You know what I mean?
That's what I was like too when I first played. I was like, because I did everything, completed the decks, even faced Arceus like I'm fighting a fucking sorry, excuse me, fighting an Elden Ring boss or something like that.
Yeah. I know it took me a
But
while to beat it.
outside of that, the main issue with Legends Arceus is that unlike the main series games and stuff like that, is that the game eventually does end, and there's nothing really to keep you around to keep playing. And I don't really count shiny hunting as like a post game content, because you can shiny hunt at any game. Like there's
Yeah.
not really much afterwards to really do. You can catch every Pokemon. It's like one of the first Pokemon games you can actually catch every single Pokemon in the game. Sure,
Yep.
but that's just kind of it. And there's no battling either, so it's like you can't really battle with people online. You can't battle with friends, and I think that's what the main issue is.
Exactly. That's my point.
That's like the main disconnect. And I
Yeah,
hope
and
that
I
maybe
don't
one
know
day going forward
why
that they get better with.
Pokemon seem to miss that because in my view, the biggest thing that adds longevity to these games is making the battle ready Pokemon and having because when you think about it, just think about how many possibilities there are when it comes to a Wi-Fi battle. I think it's like
So many
a
possibilities. Not
whole
even just
like
like
powers
Smogon
of
and stuff like
10
that. Like
above
so
like the
many.
possibilities of like chess games, you know, like because you think about like how many
Yes.
combinations of Pokemon there are and the moves, and even if you factor in like there's only so many uh good combinations of EVs, there's still a lot, you know, so it just adds
Yes.
so many layers to it.
There's a lot of layers to it, and that kind of like took it more back and made it more into like a single player like fun experience trying something different, which I'll appreciate. It just unfortunately doesn't last as long compared to what you just described.
Yeah, exactly.
To go back
And
to your question,
especially,
and
oh yeah,
like
go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say going back to your sorry to cut you off. I was
Oh,
like
you're good.
to go back to your question of like how I would feel when it comes to champions going forward.
Yep.
I would have to say it's probably just going to be on champions, just indefinite in my opinion. Like, cause like if like we like if it's like set in a way where it's like, hey, these mons will be available in this generation. You play this format or something like that. I could see us just generally playing that if it's like that's the main focus with the battling. So it's like you don't have to worry about too much with the story. You don't have to worry about like building a whole world like how like in Scarlet and Violet being open world and the frame rate being all. I'm stuttering.
Yep.
Not the greatest, but like mainly focusing on the battles, making it well, good, and just even tweaking some of the mons that might be like a little too strong too. That's another thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and the one thing that I could, well, because the way I imagine it is, I'll still probably definitely, obviously, because you got to play through Gen 10 to be able to get the Gen 10 Pokemon once it comes out.
Yeah.
Like, what I'll probably do is I'll have like a breeding setup like I always do in Gen 10,
Yeah.
do all my stuff there, and then just transfer the Mons over to Champions, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And my guess is that's probably how it's going to be, just to get people to influence people to, play in the Maze series game and then eventually come back to Champions once it's compatible with like Pokemon Home and stuff like that. So you can like have your Pokemon all set up and stuff like that. So you can just have it right and ready whenever you want.
Yeah, it will be. I like it does make me wonder because if there's gonna be Mega Stones, it's like how do you get the Mega Stones and how do you get the different stuff in that game? So I never really
be a whole
played like
thing, yeah.
Battle Revolution like I've seen clips of like people playing it and stuff. So I don't know how it works with getting the Pokemon.
How
there.
it worked with Battle Revolution was kind of weird. You had to connect your DS game and stuff like that to the actual Wii itself through a DS download with your battle ready team in your main party. So whatever was in your party, it would use it. So it's like any items you had on it, any mons you had on it, their EVs, movesets, everything.
Okay, that's interesting.
It would just transfer. It would you couldn't transfer things over like how it works with like Coliseum and all that kind of jazz. It was just like more of like a temporary connection to the cartridge and then just projected on the Wii.
Right, yeah, and see, if you do it like that, then it's like, well, how am I going to get the Megas? Is there going to be Megas in Gen 10? Well, we know there's Megas in ZA, but we'll have to, I don't know. It's going to be a whole thing. We'll figure it out. The most important thing is I want to be able to use a Terra Pokemon versus a Mega Pokemon, you know what I mean?
That's completely fair. That's another thing I wanted to think about too, is just like how they're going to focus on gimmicks. Is it like, are we going to be able to use everything like how it is in National Dex, where you can have a Mega Pokemon, you can have a Z move, you can have a Terramon, well, but before it got banned in National Dex, but or is it going to work how the anime was with what was it, Pokemon Journeys or stuff like that? Because I remember during the Champion, the
Ash had all those
tournament and stuff like
bracelets.
that. It's like it had all the choices, but you could only like pick one of them per battle. That's what I'm curious if it's going to be something like that.
That's interesting. Well, because I
it's
know
like, hey, you want a Mega Pokemon? You can do that. If you want to use Gigantamax or something like that, you can do that. Not saying that's going to be viable, but I'm just saying it's like that's something that could be thrown out there as like a format type of thing, where you had to really think on the fly. What do you want to use?
Right. Sure. That'll be up to them, I guess. But that does,
Exactly.
at the very least, it's very fun to speculate about.
Absolutely. And honestly, all I could do is cross my fingers and Hope that it's okay. Hope that we can actually change the timers at a more consistent and more efficient way than how it is in Scarlet. But look, I'm very glad that they did let us, like, you know, make our own timer and stuff like that, but dang, is it hard to get things consistent with that.
Yeah,
It is
I
a
know.
little
It's
tedious,
like, you know,
I
if
will
they
admit.
did listen to us,
I'm grateful,
why
but
wouldn't they just apply that to the regular game and the regular Wi-Fi battles, you know?
I don't know. It's like it took up like such a fuss, a whole generation and a remake just to get that point across, and even still it's done in like such a weird way. I just hope when it comes to that, because otherwise, if it still has like the 20-minute timer and the timers are still messed up, stuff like that, that could definitely kill the game, in my opinion. So I'm
Oof.
just hoping for the best
Yeah.
when it comes to how it works for that.
Yeah, let's hope so.
That, and another thing what we haven't mentioned too is like I think one of the main things that I was like excited for Champions is that this could definitely negate the whole thing of national decks of like the
Exactly. Yes,
Dexit
my
and
thing
all
too,
that stuff.
because it's like in my head, the whole reason why they might have a dex cut is because they have to have all this stuff with the world and the
Yes.
story and the characters. If we cut all that
It's just
out,
too much.
there's no
It's
reason
just too
why
much.
they shouldn't be able to have all the Pokemon. If all the Pokemon in Pokemon
In
Home,
one
put them
place at
all into
one
this
time.
game.
You can
Yeah.
have over 6,000 Pokemon when you pay for Pokemon Home, and you could literally have dozens of Pokemon, dozens of battle-ready teams, and stuff like that. So it's like, I could just see that going forward. It's like, that completely just kills the idea of Dexit entirely for, like, the competitive scene. So you could just do whatever the heck you want when it comes to, like, formatting, when it comes to, you want to play Smogon, you want to play VGC, you want to just play casual matches. You could do literally whatever you want, and that's at least my, like, optimistic side talking there. So that's what I'm just like hoping for, in my opinion.
Yep, same
Which is
here.
why I'm looking forward to that.
and I do wonder if, because the Pokemon that they initially showed, it was Dondozo, Aegislash, Charizard, I can't remember the other one, but it kind of felt like they were trying to almost kind of make that
It was a
point.
Mega
It's like
Charizard,
we've got all
Paradondozo,
Pokemon's generations 1 through
Aegislash.
9.
Oh yeah,
with
I
stuff in
think
the
it was
middle.
I think it was Hisuian Samurott. I think that was what it was.
Exactly.
So it
So
shows
there we
that from-
go. We got Hisuian
literally,
forms. That,
so
like,
many
I
diff-
feel like they were
exactly.
kind of trying to make that point. It's like we've got Pokemon from Gen 1, Gen 9. We've got from the latest ZA, Aegislash. We've got
The latest
from
and the oldest,
Legends
everything
Arceus,
is here, and that's like the thing.
Hisuian
Yeah.
Zoroark. Put all the Pokemon into this game, please.
Legit. And here's the thing: if they do that and stuff like that, to me, I feel like they struck gold if they do that. In my opinion, depending on how it's monetized, depending on how it's well taken care of and stuff like that, that's what I'm just hoping for the best when it comes to that game.
Same here. All right, DaBest. We've talked a lot. This has been an excellent conversation. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything we might have skipped out on?
All I can really just say is really just I gotta thank you, the commissioners, everyone else out there and stuff like that. Beodu, our previous owner, as well as Scorpion, our now owner of the BHDL server. And honestly, sorry, I'm just like all over the place. I just want to say thank you for all the effort you guys do, from like your battles to videos, everything, editing, just literally just all the commitment you do for the community, all of you guys. I very much appreciate it, and I very much appreciate being a part of it. I don't say that a lot of stuff. I don't really talk too much when it comes to like the server, unless there's a heated conversation. Jokes aside, but jokes aside, I very much appreciate all you guys that do. And I'll be completely honest, I'll probably have more to say that I'm probably going to forget at this moment.
Hey, you're good. We appreciate you too. Can't wait for you to hopefully maybe one day be able to participate in BHDL once again.
Definitely one day. I can't say soon. That's something I don't want to I don't want to make promises when it comes to that, but definitely one day I definitely do want to return. I want to, but just at the moment I can't. So that just I hope if like anyone who's listening can understand from my point of view and stuff like that, and it goes to more like personal stuff when it comes to that jazz.
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. I think a lot of us we're all taking our little breaks from draft. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. I absolutely get it.
Yeah, but hey, if any of y'all listening, if y'all haven't already, go back and watch seasons 1 through 3 and try to see some battles with the best, and you'll see some very exciting, entertaining games.
Absolutely.
All right, with that, we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.